Now let's move on to the last type of your Syllogs, and this should cover everything about your Syllogs. Okay, and eventually we'll see various type of problems where we can apply this five types and get the answer quickly. Okay? So let's start first with our type 5. Now again, just like any other type, even in type 5, I'll get a statement and I'll be asked for a conclusion from it. But just like the previous type, type 4, here I am getting multiple statements. First some ARB and then there is some BRC. Okay, if you can recall which is this type, some ARB. So I have to go back to this. Okay, some ARB, this is my type 2. So I'm combining type 2, okay, but with two different statements. I'm combining type 2, but here with two different statements. Okay, so I brought a C here as well. Okay, we are again not looking here at them individually. Okay, some ARB, we already know the conclusion. Some BRC, we already know the conclusion. This is some BRA and this is some CRB. But now I'll need a conclusion between A and C. Okay, and that will form my type 5. And that's the reason why I'm taking two statements. Now, type 5 can also be formed by other statement as well. Let's take this. Let's take one more statement. All ARB and some BRC. So what am I doing here? What is all ARB? Let's check it out. All ARB was my type 1. Okay, and I already know the conclusion for this. Some ARB and some BRA. And some ARB is my type 2. So I had combined type 1 and I had combined the type 2. Okay, I had combined the type 1 and the type 2 to form this my type 1, this my type 2 to form my type 5. Okay, obviously again here I need the conclusion between A and C because individually I know the conclusion of one and the two. But what if I combine them? If I combine them, what is it like I can conclude about A and C and I can say it surely. Okay, so again what do I need from this? Conclusion. And conclusion, as we know, is something that we can say with absolute surety after reading the statement. So what can I say surely after between A and C after reading the statement? So let's take one statement at a time. Okay, first we'll draw the diagram for this, which is my sum ARB. So let's draw it here. This is say my A. A is my red, and then I'll go for my B. B is here my this is my B, and B represents my blue here, and some ARB, which means what? I am looking for an intersection here. So let's draw the intersection here as well, which I am looking out for. So this is the intersection, which is a green, some ARB. That is the first thing that I draw. Then I go for C. So let's go for C. Now some BRC, right? And B is my blue here. So I'll draw the diagram here in this way. That would be what my now C. So let's put the color to it. C represents my pink. So that is my C. If I have to look at their intersection, let's go it here. So I'll put their intersection as yellow. Okay, so what is it like? I started with first by writing about this. This is my A, this is my B, this is my C, this is A and B intersection, and this is B and C, which is my intersection. Now, from this, as I said, we are moving on to type 5 to understand the relationship between A and C. What is the relationship between A and C? What can you see? What can you say surely? Okay, because that will be my conclusion. Conclusion is something that I can say surely after combining the statement. So, what can you surely say about A and C after combining this statement? Okay, you can't say anything because A is a separate quantity here and C is a separate quantity here. They both are separate. This red is separate and the pink is separate, right? They both are separate here. This red is separate and so is my pink is separated. What is the relationship between them? A and C? Nothing. Okay, and this nothing says about my type 5. So when does my type 5 come into the picture? When there is no relationship. When there is no relationship between two quantity, which is happening here. A is separate, yes. A is separate and so is my C separate here. They both are separate. There is no intersection between them, which means there is no relationship between them. The relationship between them is nothing. Okay, so when does my type 5 come into the picture? when I see that there is no relationship between two quantity, which is happening in this case of A and C. So what can I surely conclude between the two things? I can say no A is C. Yes, I can say no A is C. Yes, because there is no relationship between them. Or there is an or here. Or I can say some A are C. Okay, or I can say some A are C. Why? Because let's understand this now. Looks confusing, but it's very simple. See, this is my A. Yes, which is my red. This is my A. And let's draw a C here as well. And this is say my C, which is my, so let's move on to this, which is my pink here. Okay, now A and C are what? They are separate. They are two separate quantity. If this is my A, this is my C. So what can happen? Either they are separate like this, or what will happen? They'll just overlap. They'll just overlap like this. Okay, so either they are separate or they overlap. Either they are separate or they are overlap. Why? Because I know there is no relationship between them. So what can happen? If I have to put it in Hindi, या तो वो separate होगा या तो overlap करेगा, right? Because I don't know any relationship. But if this thing happen, okay, if they are separate, they can never overlap, right? And if they overlap, they can never separate, which means at a time one of the two will surely happen, but both cannot happen simultaneously. At a time only one of the two will happen. And why this is happening? Because I don't know any relationship between A and C. So either they will remain as separate or they will overlap. Okay, but only one of the two can happen. So I'll say no A is C or some A are C. Okay, and that's what you do. And when do you go for type phi now? When I know that there is no relationship between two quantities. Okay, let's understand this by one more example as well. As I told you, you can put type phi in various examples. Whenever you see no relationship between them, you can put it in this way. So let's go for this example, all ARB. Okay, let's go for this example, which is my all ARB and some ARB, and understand how is the type phi fitting there. So I'll draw this. This is my A, which is representing my red, and then I'll draw my blue. Okay, let's just cut this. Yes. Okay. So let's just draw the next part of it, which is my B. So I'll draw B here. B is representing my blue. So that is my all ARB. And what am I saying about C? So let's draw a C here as well. So this would be my C. And what am I saying about C? That some B are C. Yes, some B are C. And which is that part now? If I were to put it, the intersection part, the black part. Okay, is my sum BRC. So let's just again put it in terms of this. So this is my red one is my A. Okay, and this is my A. This is my B. All A are B. Then this is my C, the pink one, and the intersection is B and C. Okay, intersection is B and C. Now again, what can you say about A and C? If you can see it here, A and C are two separate entities. What is the relationship between them? Nothing. I don't know anything about A and C. So what will happen? Either they will remain as separate, which means what? If they remain as separate, what will I say? No A is C, yes. Or what will happen? They can overlap. Or what can happen? They can just overlap over each other. So I can say they can just overlap like this. Okay, I can say they can just overlap like this. Okay, that's what the relationship could possibly happen here. So what do you remember about this now? If if two quantities are separate and they don't have any relationship between them, so what can I say? Either they will remain as separate or they will overlap. But at a time, only one thing will happen. So no A is C, yes, or some A are C. So if this is happening, this can never happen. And if second is happening, first can never happen. And that forms my type phi. This will always go with an or. And what is the hint? Whenever I see no relationship, there is nothing that is there between two entities. So either they will overlap or they will remain as separate. So remember this type phi, and when is it like you're supposed to apply your type phi. So that's it with this. So this finishes our 5 types on Silox. Okay, I hope you remember all of them. Please make a note of it. What is my type 1? All A R B. It has two conclusions, some A R B and some B R A. What is my type 2? Some A R B. It has only one conclusion, some B R A. What is my type 3? No A is B and it has three conclusions. No B is A, some A are not B and some B are not A. We had understood the logic behind this as well. What is my type 4? Where I combine the two types, 2 and 3 to form my 4. Here I get the relationship between A and C. So if I say some A are B and no B is C, then I can definitely say some A are not C. Okay, remember this. Whenever this not comes in the middle, okay, you have to remember it as a type 4. Not comes in the middle for type 4. Then eventually we saw our type 5. Okay, and when do we apply our type 5? When there is no relationship between the two quantities. So either they are overlapping or they will remain as separate. Okay, so remember all the 5 types and the conclusions associated with it. Now, over the next few chapters, we'll see the problems, okay, of two statement, two conclusion, three statement, three conclusion, and we'll try and apply all the types we have learned till now.